Hey there everybody, Jose with Raiden Photos, back at it again with another Photoshop tutorial, and we're moving on to the next step in this retouch process, which after adjusting the contrast and brightness of the eyes to draw you in a little bit, is going to be making the light in the photo pop a little bit, along with adding a little bit of color toning, a little creative flair to kind of pull the eye in and make the picture really, really attractive to the eye. So we're going to start with the contrast and lighting popping a little bit more. So let's add another adjustment layer, and that is going to be levels this time. We're going to mess with the levels. And I'm going to lighten middle. Actually, you know what? Maybe not levels this time. Let's go with there's so many options in Photoshop. You could kind of just work with whichever one you're more comfortable with, or whichever one you kind of feel is doing the best job for you. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make 3 dots. One for the middle exposure, shadows, and highlights. 3 little dots. And I'm going to take the shadows, pop them down a little bit. Curve like that. Take the darks and pop them down a little bit. Oh, that's a little too much. Let's go right about there. And then we're going to take the middle and drop it down. That's a bit much. Let's go right here and bring the highlights up just a smidge there. And that gives it this kind of poppy contrast look. And then I'm going to lower the opacity on that to about 60%. Should be good. That's about as much as I want to add. I don't want it to be too exaggerated like it was a second ago. Like it looks great now, but once it's up on online, you're gonna feel like you went a little overboard with it. And if you see the before and after, 60% is plenty of pop for the photo. Let's add a little bit more pop in the midtones of the highlight there. Go. That's about what I want. Again, a little exaggerated. Let's bring it down to about 40s, 40% ish. Yeah, that looks good. Nice. Brings a little pop into the photo. I'll turn that off for now. Yeah, you know what? I'll leave it on. Right. And you know what? I'm actually gonna take this away. Just leave a little pop in the light. Shadows down a little bit. Super subtle change. Like it's almost still a straight line, but it's obviously a noticeable effect. That little pop of light in there. Let's just name that light boost. We're gonna color it uh, red. This is gonna be your color toning group. So let's just group it now. Control or Command G. Color tone. Why do I always put 2 capital letters on everything by accident? Oh well. Anyway, color toning group. Everything in here is gonna end up red. So let's just add that in there to the group. Go right back in here. The light boost is on. Let's add another adjustment layer. This one is going to be a color balance layer. I'm actually not going to do anything to it yet. I'm going to add in one more just to make it uh, easier ahead of time. I'm going to add in a levels layer. So in here in the color balance layer, what I'm going to do, actually, you know what? I'm going to start with the levels because the thing with color toning is you can use any of the tools in Photoshop that you feel comfortable with. The reason I put both of them in here is I like both. So I'm going to play with both. That's really what you're doing in color toning. You're following color theory, like complementary colors and things like that to make the photo more attractive to the eye, but at the same time, you're doing it as subtly as possible according to your own taste. So you can kind of really just use any of these two or selective color layers and things like that to play with colors in the photo. That's pretty much all you're doing. So the number one thing you have to remember is keep it subtle. If you go to an extreme, yeah, there are, if that's your taste, there are people out there that will be attracted to that photo. But let's say you're aiming for the taste of a client. You want to keep it as subtle as possible while still following that color theory that is almost guaranteed to attract the eyes. And the subtlety is going to make it so it's kind of open to anyone's taste. Like anyone can appreciate how good the photo looks rather than just someone who likes a lot of red or a lot of yellow or, a lot of contrast versus a little bit of contrast. So it opens the floor to a lot more of a fan base than just boomifying the heck out of it with too much color or too much like contrast. Honestly, it's never a bad thing because that's really what attracts the eye. That's how you see things. So contrast is really important to me anyway. But as for color, too much can be a bad thing for some people, and for other people, they'll be like, "Hey, this is great." But I want to keep it as subtle as possible because that tends to get me the best results. So let's start out in the levels. I want to mess with this a little bit. I'm going to grab the midtones, tweak those a little bit. Should I go brighter or darker? Let's go. It's always good to also take a break from your editing every once in a while to look at other things and kind of like stare off into the distance or take a walk or go grab some food. It gives your eyes kind of a break from looking at the same colors in the same photo forever. And when you come back to your desk, you tend to see things that maybe you didn't notice before. So especially before this color toning phase, you always want to get up, take a walk, take a break, let your eyes rest, and you can come back to it with a kind of a fresh outlook on what you want the photo to be. And always make sure to do the same at the end of your editing process, just to make sure that you didn't go too overboard while you were playing with the colors. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. Uh, let's see. No, I don't want to wash the blacks out. I like the contrast. Let's pop black a little bit. If we grab this slider right here, you'll notice I grabbed the darks in the photo and just kind of darken them a little bit more. So let's. That's why the boost layer, I took it away because I took away the darks in the light boost layer because I don't want to make the changes in the darks of the photo too extreme by having multiple layers that affect them. You know what I mean? I want one focused layer to change these things. So I think 3 is good. I don't want to make drastic changes. It's doing a little bit of awesomeness for the background. So let's go with 5. Yeah, 5 is good. It doesn't affect her too much, but it adjusts my background a little bit, which I like. So I have exactly what I want there. Another thing you can do is you can start tweaking color through the levels here. And again, you're just playing with it. If you select here and go to blue, basically what you're messing with is blues in the midtones and yellow in the midtones. If you go up, you get yellow. You go down, you get blue. Too bad it's not like Lightroom where you can just double click and send it right back to the original position. But if you grab this black slider right here, you're adding yellow into the darks of the photo. If you grab the top slider, you're adding blue into the lights of the photo. If you go down here, you're adding blue into the shadows of the photo. And if you go over here, you're adding yellow into the highlights of the photo. You're kind of like, it's almost like a dulling effect. It's not it's not the exact opposite of what's going on up here. It's slightly different. This kind of washes it out with yellow so that you lose contrast in a way, and this washes it out with blue so you lose contrast in a way. So you kind of have to be careful with those. Let's add a little bit of yellow because I'm noticing this kind of a blue haze in her skin, which I don't like. I'm gonna do that somewhere else. This isn't subtle enough, so I'm gonna leave that alone for now. I might go in here and play with adding color to the shadows. I like that kind of. What about green? Let's add a little bit of green to the shadows. I think I like that actually. You know what? I'm gonna leave this as is for now. I might actually make a new copy of this layer. Yeah, let's add. Yeah, you know what? No, leave that alone. We got our contrast. It's right here. Added in a little bit of a boost to the background. Now let's go into the color balance layer. Let's see, what am I doing for time? All right, I'm good. We can play with the midtones a little bit. I think we're okay though. Oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm gonna add a little bit of yellow to the midtones. A scratch, -2 is good. And then pop it with a little bit of red to give it an orange feel. And that'll kind of correct that orange that I was seeing earlier that I don't like. Go. Or kind of correct that blue that I was seeing earlier, I should say. All right, so that's nice and subtle. Let's go into the shadows. See if I can pop a little bit of blue into the shadows. Lose the warmth or give the warmth? Lose or boost? Let's go with a very subtle change in that and give it more of a green background. How about that? Yeah, you know what? Let's go with that. Yeah. That I like. Okay. So again, this is all personal preference. It's not super complicated. You don't have to follow what I'm doing exactly. It's all different depending on the photo. Pop a little bit of red in the highlight and a little bit of yellow. Okay, so before, after, super, super subtle change. Add a little bit more of this teal in the shadows. I really like it and I want it to stand out. What about there? There we go. Because you know she's wearing red. I kind of want to balance it out with a little bit of this cyan greenish feel to the background and make her pop a little bit. And the way we're going to make this only show in the background is this. Actually, this is going to show through the whole picture. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to add the color I want for her over her. So let's see here. Let's do it like this. I'm going to grab a solid color layer. This orange is actually exactly what I need. I'm going to add about this much of it. Just a light little bit of saturation. There we go. And let's play with blend mode. Let's try overlay. Oh, bring the opacity down, definitely. That's a bit much. Overlay gives it kind of like a highlighty feel of orange. Kind of like that. Let's try soft light. That's really subtle. We can pop the opacity up a little bit. I think I might go with soft light. Let's switch back to overlay real quick and see. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with soft light. I like it. I like it. We can also try screen if you like that kind of soft look to things. Personally, it's getting rid of a little too much of the contrast for me, so I'm gonna go back to soft light and give it 10%. Okay, now in here, let's pop down to our background here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make a copy of everything. So right in here, we're going to hit Control Alt Shift E, and that's going to create a stamp layer, like a copy of every layer into this one right here without getting rid of the originals. And I'm going to make my selection on this, seeing as the original down bottom has a lot of corrections to it, and I want exactly what I'm seeing to be part of my selection. All right, so we're going to use the select, and we're going to go down to select and mask, which is a new little thing they have added to Photoshop CC, where you have this onion skin mask right here, the onion skin. All right, and we're gonna make the transparency like so. Actually, you know what? Cancel that real quick. I'm going to make this layer light 100% did not do it. Here we go. Oop. We're going to put it right on top like that. And we're going to go back to select, select and mask. And we're going to select the onion skin. And we can mess with the transparency here. I'm doing this wrong. What am I doing? This needs to be underneath. Okay. Then select, select and mask. Huh. Normal. Select, select and mask. Onion skin. There we go. That's what I want. All right, then we turn the opacity down so that we can see through it a little better. And here's the different kinds of brushes right here. This one's just your usual quick mask or quick selection tool. And we're going to use that, and you'll see exactly why I left that solid color layer normal. Select these right out. Right out. Go. Should be good. Ah, right here. Get rid of that. There we go. And now we can detect the edges a little bit around her hair. Good. Make that selection nice and neat. Detect the edges of her hair a lot better that way. This should be good. Let's turn the transparency up and see. Yes, I like. A little bit more there. Grab the brush. And, wrong one. And kind of deselect all around here. should be a smooth enough selection. Let's feather it 0.7. That should be good. All right, we have our selection. Click this color fill layer. We're going to hit Control I. That's going to put her right in there, nice and smooth, and we can get rid of this layer now. Control deselect. There we go. We can get rid of that layer now. And get rid of that layer. There we go. So now we have this, and we're going to go back to soft light. We're actually going to flip this Control I. That way she's selected out of it. Drop the opacity down to 10%, I think is what I had it. And then we're going to select the mask, feather it out a little bit to right about there. Should be enough to make it a little less noticeable. Maybe drop the opacity down a little bit more. 8% should be good. That warmed her up a little bit. Kept the greenish tone in the background. We can actually make a little bit more of that. Add a little more blue and cyan. There we go. Sweet. Now we're going to take this. Actually, hold on. Let's add another solid color layer real quick. Remember, all personal taste. So it doesn't have to be exactly what I'm doing. Take this color. That cyan that I kind of want in the background. Take that. I'm gonna make it screen. I'm gonna drop it down to nice subtle little 4% or 3% should be good. Now let's go with 3. I don't want it to be too noticeable. There we go. And maybe overlay. Yeah, overlay. Keep a little bit of the contrast. I like that. And now I'm gonna take this selection and hit Control and click the mask to take my selection. Go up here. I'm gonna hit Control I to make my selection in there. And now that's going to keep it off of her and put it on the background. Control D to deselect, and let's take a look. Nice. I like. All right. And the last thing I do is I'm going to add a layer here. I'm going to switch the blending mode to overlay. Where are you? There we are. Blending mode to overlay. And I'm going to dodge and burn the background a little bit in a kind of quick and sloppy way. I'm going to set the flow to 10%. Overlay. Enter. Shift 1. Oh, I'm not on the brush tool. I am on the brush tool. Why you no do? Why you no do? We're gonna hit Shift 1. There we go. And that is going to change my flow to 10%. Change my brush size here. Make sure it's nice and soft. Make sure you have your default black and white selected. Hit D on your keyboard. Switch to black or white, depending on what you're doing. And then we're just going to brush right in here. Darken things up. Dodging and burning little black spots and things. There we go. I'm going to darken this a little. Darkening these leading lines a little bit. Yes, I am. Let's get rid of some of those. I'm going to bring the opacity down to. I'm going to leave. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to leave the flow at 10%. And I'm going to change the opacity to 40%. That way it's not super, super noticeable that I'm even doing anything to the photo here. There we go. That. There we go. Let's darken this side right here. That might be a little too obvious. So let's knock the opacity on that down to 60%. Still a bit strong. Let's go 50. There we go. And a quick before and after. The color tones layer. Yeah, alrighty. And I'm actually going to take the whole color tones layer and drop it down a bit so it's more subtle. 85%. And this is around where I would have taken a break and walked off to make sure the colors aren't a little too strong in my own eye from staring at it for so long. So let's go down a little bit more, 80%. Sweet. And that's it. That's the entire retouching process, start to finish. Let's group the whole thing and see a nice before and after of the entire image. Full retouch. Let's do a nice before and after there. See how the photo just kind of draws you in and pops a lot more now? That's your entire goal when you're retouching. That right there. Sweet. So hope you guys enjoyed the tutorials on this photo right here, and make sure to leave your questions in the comments if you have any parts that confused you at all that you want me to elaborate on or anything like that. And I hope this is useful to you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter for updates on the next thing I'm up to. And see you guys in the next video. Have fun.